Let's talk about text structure and purpose questions. In these ones, you're going to be asked to describe what function a particular word or sentence or paragraph is serving relative to the passage as a whole. And the key idea here is you want to focus on what that word or sentence or paragraph is doing, not on what it's actually saying. Let me give you a kind of a demonstration of this. Suppose I gave you this statement: X, therefore, Y. Not a particularly interesting statement, but I would ask you this. Can you describe the relationship between X and Y? You might say something like, well, X causes Y, or Y is the result of X. There are a lot of ways you could put that. My point is, you don't have to understand what X and Y are to understand how they relate to each other. So even if X has a bunch of fancy vocab in it, and Y has a bunch of jargon that you don't understand, you do know how they are related. So we're going to see examples of this in just a minute. Common stems to look for. Which choice best describes the function, that's kind of the key word, function of the underlined sentence in the text as a whole, and which choice best describes the overall structure of the test? All right, let's see one of these in action. Pause the video and try this out. Which choice describes the function of the underlined questions in the text as a whole? So we're talking about these ones down here. Now, I want to start out by saying I know that this passage is not easy to understand. But that's my point, is that we don't need to understand everything as long as we understand what the sentence is doing. So let's look at this. We're looking to describe the function of the underlined questions. Well, here's a little cheat code. Any sentence could be described as a new point, a new opinion, a new thesis, a new claim, or evidence, proof, data to support a claim that's already been made. So if we look at this sentence right here, is this making a new point, or is it giving proof or supporting a point that's already been made? Well, it's clearly the second one, right? These rhetorical questions are in response to the point that we made previously here. So right then and there, I'm leaning towards an answer option that will be talking about proof or data. So they show, yeah, maybe. They question, I don't love that one, but we'll keep it in. They provide illustrations. I really like that. They introduce a new topic for further inquiry. No, right? They're not introducing a new topic. These questions are follow-ups to something that we've already said. All right, now let's dive into these three here. They show that rude people tend to be louder than polite people. Well, that's not what this is showing, right? We only talk about voice in one of the questions. We also talk about smell and look. So this one is not the one that we're looking for. Now, question might be a tempting answer option because, after all, these are questions, but they are rhetorical questions. And when I'm questioning the fundamental assertion of the passage, that means I'm, let's say, attacking the main point of the passage. I'm not really doing that here. These rhetorical questions are used to further the point that I'm making, to support the point I'm making, right? So it's not attacking or questioning the fundamental assertion of the passage, the main point of the passage, which I would say is this first sentence right here. Instead, they are providing illustrations of the paradox introduced by the passage. Again, you don't necessarily even have to understand what this means, but we'll talk about what it means just so you have it. A paradox is something that doesn't seem like it should be true, but is true. So for instance, this paradox right here, rude individuals are seldom aware of their rudeness. That's a paradox. And these questions are providing illustrations to support that point. Correct answer here is C.